Lawsome by ConsultWebs. Breakthrough insights to build a thriving law firm with your host, Tanner Jones.
Hello to our Lawsome listeners. Welcome to another podcast. Today on the show, we're talking with Ken Hardison, founder and president of PILMA. Ken's also built and sold 2 multi-million-dollar practices in his career. He's fought for people's rights as a personal injury as well as disability lawyer for over 35 years. He built one of the largest PI practices in North Carolina and is the founder and president of Personal Injury Legal Marketing and Management Association, the only legal marketing and management association exclusively focused on injury and disability lawyers. Also, Ken's the author of several books, one of those being The Mastermind Effect, which is actually today's topic. Welcome, Ken. Thanks so much for making time to join the show today.
Oh, thank you for being gracious enough to invite me.
Ken, congratulations on the release of this new book, The Mastermind Effect.
Well, thank you. We've been real pleased with the progress so far. You know, we were able to hit the Amazon bestseller list. So I've written like 7 or 8 books, but I only had 2 hit the Amazon bestseller, and this was one of them. But this is a hot topic. There's a lot of this going. You know.
I want to get into the Amazon concept here in a moment, but let's talk about the book a little bit. You discuss the effectiveness of mastermind groups and ultimately how lawyers can grow their revenues, and also focus on other management practices that are just on the tops of minds of every lawyer right now who are practicing law. They're trying to operate a business in a pretty wild time right now. Yeah. So these networking and mastermind events clearly have some benefits, which we want to cover. But to start, for a lawyer who may not be familiar with the concept of a mastermind group, or maybe they've heard about it, they're just curious to know more, how would you explain it and kind of get into some details there?
Sure. Well, let me just start off with about the history. This stuff's been going on for years and years, hundreds of years. It's just getting popular now. But Ben Franklin had a group called the Punto Group. Carnegie and Henry Ford had a group called the Vagabonds back in the early 1900s. So this stuff has been going on. Probably the guy that made it famous was Napoleon Hill, who Carnegie commissioned to write Think and Grow Rich. And what he found out was when people get together, like-minded people that want to grow their businesses and they share, it's like throwing, 10 or 12 batteries together and putting them all into one engine. You know what I'm saying? And it just really catapults you down and makes you grow faster because we can't know everything, right? And we have strengths, like I'm not the best on online marketing, but I think I'm the best on other types of marketing and other media. I think I'm pretty good about management or leadership, but everybody can't be great at everything. So how this works is you get together and meet, and some people meet. I've seen groups meet weekly, monthly, quarterly, every 4 months. But you get together and you meet and you share what's been working, what's not been working in your business, and also what challenges you're having. Because what you find is, and our listeners, they'll know what I'm talking about. When you're running your own business, whether it's a law firm or anything, it's lonely at the top. And a lot of times your family and your friends, they just don't understand it. They've got, 9-to-5 jobs, or they don't work at all, and they think that you're crazy as hell. And you just can't talk to anybody about all the big issues you have. And so this is a place to get in, and you get away from your office, and I think that's very important. One of the reasons I wrote the book, Tanner, was because there's a lot of people out there saying they're doing masterminds, and they're doing something, but it's not a true mastermind. And it helps, but it's not going to help like a true mastermind. Getting away from your office, getting away from people interrupting you, and sitting down in a quiet environment with like-minded lawyers and discussing what's working and what's not working, and it's like having a mini board of directors, man. And they're there to help each other. You sign a non-disclosure. Usually, in my groups, I got 6 mastermind groups, and I got them from different levels depending on where you're at. I've written this thing about 5 stages of law firm growth, but there's like 3 big stages, and it's like under 2 million, 2 to 10, and over 10, because you have different problems. Like from 0 to 2, you're just trying to get cases. From 2 to 10, you're still trying to get cases, but you got a lot more issues. You're growing, and you've got issues with systems, processes, procedures, scaling, staff, left hand knowing what the right hand's doing, and the bigger you get, the more complex it gets. I always like to reckon it to, you got 2 kids playing, everything gets fine. You put the 3rd kid in there, and everything goes to hell in a handbasket. I mean, they're fighting like hell. It's the same type of deal. If you got a small firm, you're okay, and you can do it really just off the guts and the determination of the owner. But when you get to 8, 10 million, you've got 50, 100 employees. It's a different ballgame. You've got to have structure. You got to have systems. You've got to have good communication. You got to have a great culture, and you got to have great people. I mean, that is you got not only got to scale your business, you got to scale your people, because no one can do it by themselves. I'm telling you, I've been very blessed to have some very talented people.
And those mastermind meetings obviously are covering a wide range of business practices, but I want to get into the meat a little bit here. And in the book, you specifically talk a little bit about your prior experiences. You've helped take your law firm from a $2 million firm to an $8 million firm in revenue and fees in less than 4 years. And not only did that law firm grow, Pilma's done extraordinarily well, going from a few $100,000 a year in revenue to nearly $3 million in revenue, substantial growth as well. So clearly, this has been successful for you in partnering with other people in this process, and gaining insight from a collective intelligence is a powerful thing. You've talked a little bit about the process itself and what you cover, but let's talk meat. What are the benefits? What would someone typically get out of committing to a mastermind if they're going to give up the time and the money to do it?
Well, you don't know what you don't know. Okay. Remember that. If you ever think you got it all figured out, you're in trouble. I can tell you that, because I'm still learning stuff. I go to these masterminds and I run them, and I think I know probably as much as anybody in the world about legal marketing. And I still learn stuff. I still learn. There's young guys out there and gals that are doing tremendous things, and they're sharing this stuff. But going back to your question, how can they benefit from it? Is that I've told a lot of people that joined my mastermind, I said, because they had the determination, the grit, they were smart, they were driven. I said, you'll get there, but you're going to get there about 10 times faster, because instead of learning from your mistakes, you're going to learn from other people's mistakes. And that's a hell of a lot cheaper and a hell of a lot faster. I mean, I'm just being honest. I mean, I do masterminds, and, I've got a group that of coaches that they do dentists, musicians, doctors, chiropractors, all kind of different deals, and we get together, 3 times a year and meet and share what's working and what's not working in this businesses that we're in, and they got nothing to do with law. And I've been in other masterminds. I've been in Jay Abraham's mastermind. I paid $50,000 to be in his for a year. I've been in Dan Kennedy's. I've been in a lot of them over the years, and I can say that I picked up great stuff from all of them and made some great friends. But that's the key. You learn from others' mistakes, and it's just and they got different experiences. So you might have an idea of how to do something. Maybe they already tried it, or maybe they can come up with an idea and say, hey, it sounds pretty good, Tanner, but have you thought about doing this, this, and this too? Mm-hmm. That would really just explode it, the marketing or the management or whatever you're doing. And you say, it never even crossed my mind. And so, it's those aha moments during these things that they're just amazing. I mean, I'll just be honest with you. I've been doing them since '98, and I'll do them as long as somebody will do them with me till I die, for my businesses and for other businesses, because I just believe in them.
you haven't used the word accountability, but you've spoken all around it, in terms of just being able to elevate.
Yeah.
You elevate the ones around you in the room by doing that. But I
Yeah.
also, let's speak to maybe the pessimists in the world.
Yeah.
Those that, what about the disadvantages or maybe perceived disadvantages or challenges with the
Yeah, I do want to
mastermind
go
group?
about that. There is friendly accountability
Yeah.
because you don't want to go before you come back every 3 or 4 months. You don't want to go up there and have nothing and be embarrassed. And so it's that friendly accountability that, because let's face it, most people at your firm are not going to hold you accountable because you write the paycheck, right? It's just the truth. But these guys, you're equals, and they're going to tell you the way it is, and I'm going to tell you the way it is. So yeah, but that's a big deal, and I appreciate you bringing that out because I forgot about that. It just comes natural that I just know that's what it is, but I need to explain it. Every person that's ever joined a mastermind, they've always told me, because I give them an opportunity, Tanner, I say, come to first meeting. If you don't think it's a good fit, I'll give you 100% refund. Because if it's not a good fit, I don't want your money, and I don't want you talking bad about me. In the 12, 13 years, 14 years I've been doing this, I've never had anybody ask for their money back. You know what they say? I wish I'd done this 5 years ago, 10 years ago. Damn. But listen, I'm sure there's going to be, just like my summits, I offer a guarantee, and I've been doing those for 13 years, and nobody's ever asked for money back, and I offer money back guarantee. And I'm sure one day somebody's going to take me up on it, just to prove that I'll do it. And I will. I probably blackball them, won't do more business with them, but hey, that's fine too, because, we're not a good fit, and I'm not a good fit for everybody. I know that.
Well, I'm really interested to know, like, from in all the years that you've done this, just being real with people, what are some of those disadvantages or real challenges that they may face?
I mean, the perceived disadvantages or challenges or I call them objections, is that, number one, you would think it'd be money, but number one is I don't have the time. Well, I tell them this: if you don't have time, then this is exactly where the hell you need to be, because we can show you how to carve out time to work on your business, and that means you really do need to get away, because if you're that busy, you're doing a lot of things wrong, because you should be leveraging your strengths, delegating your weaknesses, getting really good people in there. Listen, I've got Jan Deals started with me 12 years ago. She was doing a couple of million. She's probably doing 30, 40 million now. And she probably not in the office half the year. Okay? She's got a place in Hilton Head. She's up in West Virginia and North Carolina, but she stays in Hilton Head more than she does anywhere else. And she's got over 100 employees, and she's kicking it. And she's a good person. And listen, I told her before she joined, I said, you're going to make it. I said, but you'll just make it quicker with the Mastermind. And she was very skeptic. I'm not going to lie about it. She says, well, I'll give it a try, and it's funny. I mean, I think she thought I was some mafioso, because I kind of look like I'm from Jersey or whatever till you talk to me. But I told her, I said, if it don't work out, I'll give you your money back. And she's been with me for 12, 13 years. I mean, and she's living the life. I mean, she's spending time with her children. But that's the big deal to say. And then the other one is I can't afford it. Well, it's like Justin Lovely told me one day. He said, listen, or Matt Dubin, two of my masterminds that just grown tremendously. They said, listen, for what I pay for a mastermind, I make that 10 times over in a month. I mean, what I pay in a year, I make it, 10, 100 times a month, because it's not. I mean, there is some out there that are really expensive, and there's some out there that are really cheap. I'm kind of in between. Ours run anywhere from $2,000 to $3,000 a month, but there's some that I know some people that are charging $10,000, $20,000 a month, and I know some that are charging $700, $800 a month. But it's like I've always said, I think you got to find the right group that's a good fit for you, and I'm not the right person for everybody, but the ones that I seem to connect with, they seem to come through and really enjoy it. But that's the two biggest things. They think they can't afford it, and they think they don't have time. And, because I was actually at our meeting yesterday, our Pilma meeting, we have a weekly meeting. I said, I just don't understand. I offer a money-back guarantee. It's a no-brainer. Why wouldn't somebody do it? And my wife, she's a copywriter for it. She looked at me, she says, because they don't think they got the time. I said, you're right. I never thought about it, but that is the big deal. I don't have time. Here's the deal. The same amount of hours, same amount of minutes for everybody in the world. And it's amazing to me how some people get so much more done. But the bottom line is you have time. You make time for the things that are important to you. I do it. You do it. Our listeners do it. If it's something you really want to do, you'll carve out the time. It's just got to be important enough to you to want to carve out the time to do it. Are you really serious about wanting to grow your practice, or is it just a pipeline dream? Are you ready to dig in and let's do what it takes to get it make it happen, or you just want to talk about it the rest of your life? I'm being brash, but I'm telling it like it is.
Listen, you have me fired up right now, Ken. I'm ready to go do something. Well, listen, having people like you that truly love to help, and I've seen it. I've known you for over a decade now, Ken, and I know you have a true heart. You want to help. You want to help others succeed, and I've seen that play out. And we're in somewhat of an odd time right now with the economy coming out of the pandemic. And I'd love to hear, based on what you've heard, what you've seen in these mastermind groups, what are the main problems and challenges lawyers are dealing with right now in their practices?
Yeah. Well, it's funny. It's a mixed bag, Tanner. I will say there's some common threads of what everybody's doing, and then there's some people who are doing really good, to be honest about it. But they still, even the ones that are doing good financially, they're still having the big problem of finding good people and holding on to their good people. The Great Resignation, and it's even harder to find lawyers than it is staff, believe it or not. But that doesn't matter, even the successful firms or even the ones that are not so successful that have not really fully recovered from the pandemic. Mm-hmm. We've got some people that are still, 20% behind where they were, the year before the pandemic hit. But most, I say 90% of our Pilma members are back to where they were or better. And we've got some that have had record years. The other thing is that it's funny how this whole thing worked out. To begin with, the insurance companies were just throwing money at lawyers because they weren't having any claims because nobody was driving, and they were afraid that their rates would go down because of the insurance commissioners of all the states would say, hey, listen, you're not paying enough money. You don't have enough reserves out there. You're making too much money, so you're going to lower your rates. And so I think they were just paying out claims. That kind of balanced the book. And then the next year, they just really, all the courts were closed, and they just hunkered down and want to, they were squeezing people, the old squeeze play. And that's had an effect on some law firms, and it's different for different parts of this country. But another thing's happening right now too. Gas is going up, and so you're going to see less people driving. I really believe that because they just can't afford it. Mm-hmm. You go from $2 a gallon to $6 a gallon. And listen, it probably don't affect me and you or the listeners out there, but the guy out there that's making $10 an hour, $400 a week, probably netting $325, and he's living from week to week, and if he's commuting, and it takes where it was taking him $30 a week, now it's taking him $60 a week, or whether it was taking him $50 a week for gas, now it's taking him $100 a week for gas. That's a big impact. Percentage wise. And so they're just going to stay at home more. That's just the way it works. Mm-hmm. But those two things, I think, and the way people are taking information has changed. The COVID had a big deal about that. Mm-hmm. You saw a lot more people willing to just talk to lawyers on the phone or talk to them on Zoom, do sign-ups over the phone or over Zoom. And I think your younger people under 40, they're fine with that because they're busy as heck anyway, and they got their own life, and they don't want to have to
Right.
go across town, especially in the bigger cities. I mean, it's crazy.
Well, I mean, you've hit on several. What I would agree with are some big challenges for law firms right now. Obviously, staffing. It's not just lawyers. It's every industry out there is having some level of impact on this great resignation and team members leaving. And it's not just any team members. When you're quality team members, this is something you've iterated several times in this conversation already. It really is a matter of the team that you surround yourself with, and that's the beauty of these mastermind groups is empowering you to be better at delegating and running a business effectively. Yeah. But for our listeners, Ken, if you don't mind, I'd love to take a few minutes here and just kind of explain. Let's pick one of those topics, whether it's staffing, whether it's shortage of cases, whether it's less cars on the road, potentially fewer cases in the future. How would a mastermind group work and discuss toward solving that or finding solutions for everyone?
So I'm going to give you an example, and I'm not going to say who it is or where it was because we got a confidentiality. But say had this one lawyer, his auto cases were down. And I told him, I said, well, listen, go back. We were in the mastermind meeting. He said, I don't know what to do. He said, listen, I'm spending more money, but, I said, well, number one, let's look at your ads, And so, we helped him with his ads or whatever. But then this is where a eureka moment came. I said, go back and look at what your top 20% of your fees came from last 2 years. You know what he found out?
What's that?
They were premises cases. And he won't even hardly market them for them. And all the lawyers in his town were sending them to him because they didn't like to do them. Because most of them you had to file a lawsuit. But his average fee was like $40,000 on a premise case and only like $10,000 on a car case. So you know what he's doing? He's popping over and spending more money trying to get premises cases and going out and doing the lawyers. And now his pipeline's filled back up and his average fee's up. And, so this is a time where adversity made you go back and think a different way. And it was just that one thing that I suggested. I said, just go back and look, see, because, what kind of cases it was. Because I know he did workers' comp. I know he did some disability. I know he did some premises, and I know he did some different types. But I wanted to see if there was something he could niche in and go. Mm-hmm. That was kind of my thought process, because an old wise man told me one time, there's riches in niches,
That's right.
And I believe that. And so not every time, but I do believe it can work sometimes. Mm-hmm. So that's just an example of how you can deal with that. Another one's been the staffing deal. What we have come to, a lot of people have been sharing and been trying out people from the Philippines, outsourcing overseas. And some companies are really good. Some companies are not as good. Some you can go direct, don't even have to go through a company. So they're sharing all this information and trying to figure out how can we staff people and what jobs can we use them at where we can still give the great client service, right? Mm-hmm. And we still deliver the great quality product, service. So that's been a deal. And in different ways, I'm not going to give away everything on this one, but they've come up with some very ingenious ways of recruiting lawyers and staff. I mean, that one I'm not going to give away because the masterminds would kill me on that one. But it's very ingenious. I will say that, and I will take credit that I did not think of this one. This came. That's like I said. I still learn stuff. This came from one of our mastermind members. He just was really struggling, and he said, I'm going to try this. And it worked, and now he shared it. And so now the other people are trying to do it. And some of them it works better than others. I'm not going to lie. But the deal is, that's examples of how if you were just at home in your office trying to rub two sticks together and think about it, you'd never come up with it. The odds of you coming up with these ideas that I said would be very, very slim and none. Mm-hmm. I'm not saying it won't happen, but 98% of the time it will not happen.
You maximize the brain power in the
Yeah.
room when you bring multiple perspectives
Yeah.
and to discuss a problem, and that's a key value. I appreciate you sharing those examples. I'm going to end with somewhat of a different direction here because we've talked about the Mastermind Effect book and the value and the process of getting into a mastermind group. But I'd love to hear your experience. You've written so many books over the years with this latest one. What has the learning experience been, this latest book? Anything, if a lawyer is maybe contemplating writing a book or going through that process, anything you could share with our listeners on that?
I think the key, this was my easiest book to write, believe it or not. But I had lived it, so I knew it inside and out. It's just like speaking. If you know the subject matter inside and out, it's easy to get up and speak before a group. I've spoken before where I was not really, some areas that you're in that I'm not as, you're smarter at than I am at some of this SEO stuff. And I'm having to sit there and read and write down stuff and remember it. Whereas stuff you've lived, you've done all your life, you don't even need to think about it. It just happens. And, when you write those books like that, the deal is you're telling people like stories, and you tell a story and you give examples. If you're going to write books, tell a story. Try to weave a story. The best books I've ever read, and I'm not as good a writer as these guys, but the best one is like E-Myth. That was like a story. I read this one, The Art of Selling Your Business. John Warlow, Pat Lencioni, he does a lot of these where he does fables, gets in there and talks about dysfunctions and A players and different things. Those books I can't put down. I wish I could, and I actually started to write one like that for this here, but I'm not as smart enough to do it, just to be honest with you. But I did tell a lot of case studies in there, and other people told what it did for them. It's not just pie in the sky. I got probably 20. I did 3 really in depth, and then there's just some other ones in there that talk about the advantages of it and different things. But I had 3 case studies, where I kind of really pushed out of where they were before they got the mastermind and where they are now, and what they think about it.
How long did the process take from start to finish, planning all the way to release?
That one about 90 days. Now, I have taken a year before. Yeah, that one took, no, I'll tell you, this is the easiest book I've ever written. But I've had some that's taken me a year and a half, The hardest one was writing about online marketing. That was like pulling teeth. That was hurt. but I felt like I needed to do it. But my second easiest was systematic marketing, because I'd lived it and breathed it, and I kind of had systems for all my marketing, and so it was easier to do. You know what I'm saying? But if you're going to do it, and this is the deal I would tell you too. If you're going to do a book, if you're not a good writer, and I'm not either, you got to get a good editor. But the best way I've seen, the quickest way to write books is to do an outline, and then like do your table of contents, then do an outline from your table of contents, and then give it to somebody to interview you and record it, transcribe it, and then take that and give it to somebody, an editor, to take it and write the book if you don't have time.
It's great advice.
But this last one, I didn't even do that. Believe it or not, I hand wrote or dictated the whole book. But every other book I've done, I did the deal where I did the outline and got somebody to interview me, and then we did it. I got people to help me, and then I back and forth, with co-editing. But this one, it just came natural, And I had a passion for wanting to do it, because there was just so many people coming out there saying they're running masterminds, and what they're doing is good stuff, but they're mislabeling it. And I just wanted to set the record straight, to be honest with you. Listen, what they're doing is great, and hey, I'm all about abundance. I used to say that. People used to say, Ken, all these lawyers competing with you. I said, there's enough cases out there for everybody. There's enough lawyers for all these masterminds. What they've done, and what you need to think about, somebody comes in your market and starts spending a lot of money, then it raises awareness. Okay? So everybody's not doing masterminds. So I told my wife, I said, don't worry about it. I said, it's raising awareness. Everybody this is a hot topic now. So listen.
Yep.
And to be honest with you, our masterminds have grown probably 50% in the last 18 months. And it's because of coming back out of COVID. People are looking for answers. And then the other deal is it's just everybody's talking about it. You know, and I feel like that, you know, I've got the most experience. I've been doing it the longest. You know, I've been doing Mastermind since 98. However long that is, I don't even know, to be honest with you. I guess it's, 24 years? Yeah. So, you know, I've seen some good ones. I've been in some bad ones, too. I've actually been in some bad masterminds where the guy that was facilitating it, and I talk about it in my book, I didn't mention the guy, but I said, you know, this was just a platform for him to tell you how smart he was, and he didn't let anybody else talk, and that's a bad one. You don't want that one. I let everybody say everything they're going to say, make all the suggestions, and then if I feel like I got something to add afterwards, then I pop bit my 2 cents. But I want everybody to be involved and engaged. You know, it makes for a better group.
Ken, we appreciate all the insights. You've made a strong case for the value, for sure, of masterminds and just the collective intelligence there and what attorneys can get. If somebody's interested in reaching out to you around this, what's the best way that they can contact you?
Probably info@pilma.org, and if they want a copy of the book free, just put Mastermind Effect. I want the free book, Mastermind Effect, and just send an email to info, send your address, and we'll send you one for free. You know, because I want people to understand what is and what isn't a mastermind.
Ken, thank you so much.
Thank you, my friend.
Appreciate the time.
I'll see you at the summit.
Looking forward to it.
Lawsome by ConsultWebs with Tanner Jones. For show notes, links, and info, go to consultwebs.com/podcast. Be sure to subscribe and leave us a review. Watch for the next Lawsome episode to discover more breakthrough insights to build a thriving law firm.